I did not have to believe anything simply because it was in the Bible. This statement by the Reverend Harry Emerson Fosdick characterized the liberal approach of modernists toward Christianity. It illustrates the crisis facing the American church in the early 20th century and the battle between modernists and fundamentalists. This discussion is not about Fosdick, but he is a supporting character in the story of Reverend John Roach Straton. Dr. Straton and Harry Emerson Fosdick were both born in the mid-1870s, raised as sons of Baptist preachers, experienced radical spiritual changes in college, graduated with multiple higher academic degrees, and became professors and preachers. The significant difference in the lives of these two men is that Straton briefly embraced humanism and evolution, rejecting the gospel. However, at the young age of 19, he repented and fully embraced Orthodox Christianity. On the other hand, Fosdick embraced liberal Protestant theology with significant doubts about the central Christian doctrinal tenets. Dr. John Roach Straton was a pastor for 24 years. His early pastorates were in Chicago, Baltimore, and Norfolk, Virginia. It was his final church in New York City where Straton came to prominence as a fundamentalist pastor. World War I had a transformative effect on Straton's theology as he abandoned postmillennialism and the social gospel. The First World War and the realities of man's sinfulness convinced him that the only hope for mankind was the transforming power of the gospel. In 1918, he became the pastor of Calvary Baptist Church in New York City. In his final pulpit, he would become known as a committed and vocal fundamentalist who challenged the progressive Protestant message that diluted, if not denied, the gospel of Christ. Among his noted activities were his debates against the Unitarian Reverend Potter, speeches and writings against the theory of evolution, and his campaign against Al Smith for president. Straton was not alone in New York as a prominent theologian. Reverend Harry Emerson Fosdick pastored 3 New York City congregations over 4 decades. He became a leading figure among progressive and liberal American ministers in the early 20th century, twice making the cover of Time magazine. Fosdick mastered radio and print as he spread liberalism through the church and the country. Tim Challies states, "The danger of Fosdick was not as an original thinker as much as a popularizer who took the theory of liberalism from the seminaries and brought it to a common level." On May 21, 1922, Fosdick preached the sermon that defined him, "Shall the Fundamentalists Win?" In his sermon, he rejected Christ's virgin birth, the inerrancy of Scripture, and the literal return of Jesus Christ. He proclaimed fundamentalists as intolerant and foolish, rejecting the wisdom of the modern world. John D. Rockefeller was so impressed that he shared the sermon with more than 100 preachers and later funded the Riverside Church, which was pictured on the previous slide. Fosdick decried fundamentalists as illiberal and intolerant, yet he viewed liberals as intellectually hospitable, open-minded, liberty-loving, fair, and tolerant. The only thing Fosdick was intolerant of was fundamental beliefs of Christianity. Fundamentalists in the footsteps of St. Augustine confronted the heresies of their day. Unlike Augustine's high reputation, fundamentalists carry an unfair reputation as anti-intellectual, anti-modern, and irrational. John Roach Straton was the leading fundamentalist voice in New York City. He was a gifted orator and intellectual who did not back down from the liberal message of evolution and immorality. He upheld moral standards as he opposed dancing, premarital sex, prostitution, and alcohol. He viewed New York City as the city of man, or the city of Babylon, with vices and immorality threatening the souls of New Yorkers. Straton was quick to denounce theological liberalism. He viewed the focus on the social gospel as neglecting the actual gospel and placing New Yorkers in the peril of eternal damnation. Straton did not reject the term fundamentalist and saw it as recognition of basic Christianity. Straton's gift of oratory made him a highly effective preacher. Straton's approach was calculated and methodical. He meticulously planned his sermons to ensure they were impactful and aligned with his fundamental beliefs. Straton's ministry was cut short in 1929 after a heart attack. However, his legacy lives on in the faithful Orthodox ministry of Calvary Baptist Church, which continues to serve New York City today. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this brief.